Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about dealing with sloppy clients. Okay, so it's Saturday. I didn't get a chance to do a video yesterday. It's been so hectic yesterday that I just, I kept trying to get to it and I just wasn't able to, so apologize about that. So here I'm on Saturday. I've still got a bunch more to do here in the office, but but today what I want to do is I want to answer a question that came in like 3 weeks ago. This came in on episode 77. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get to this one. This is by Mayank Nagwanshi. He said, "Hey Eric, how do you deal with sloppy clients who take a long time to confirm the deal and later the same with payments?" Right? So I talk a lot about dealing with clients because we do client work. In fact, a lot of my time is spent on client work. I mean, we have the app income, which is great. What scares me about app income is that, I mean, it's so great. It's so nice to get up in the morning and see how much money you made overnight. I mean, just, there's nothing like it, right? But there's also this, I'm an algorithm change away from that being gone. Anything can happen, right? So it's something always very vigilant about. So client work, works too, and there's so much to learn from clients' work. And I by no means am I an expert. I want to say this, right? I read a lot, and I still read a lot, and I still talk to a lot of people, and I listen to podcasts and all that kind of stuff. I'm always learning new things, but I also learn a lot of things through trial and error. So I'm going to tell you, and like a lot of things that I read, they're for like larger companies. Like they'll say, how your account manager should handle that, how you should set up your sales staff and all that kind of stuff, which for the smaller guys, it's not really, applicable. But let me just, say how I deal with it. And it's funny when you talk to other, companies that work with clients or agencies or whatever, they all have the same kind of issues that I've had, that you probably have, like prospecting, dealing with scope creep, making sure that the clients don't bring the scope up too quickly or completely misunderstand. Problems with not charging enough. That's one of the biggest things that we all do. We don't charge enough. We think we charge what we think what we think we would pay, but we're the developers, or we're the technical people, so we don't value our time and skill as much as other people do, right? So it's and then we don't quote in a way that we can handle things like scope creep, or also marketing and prospecting and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so just so you guys, just whenever I talk about something, I'm not an expert. I'm just I've tried things. Some things work, some things don't. Let's just put that out there, okay? So so when it comes to dealing with sloppy clients who take too long to decide on the deal, or too late with payments. Now, first of all, they take too long to sign or to agree to the deal. That's one thing. Like I've had clients, they're not clients yet, they're prospects, where they've come to me and they ask for a quote. I give them a quote, and then they'll go away, and I may never hear from them again. Or I might, sometimes I'll hear from them in 6 months. I have one client that, they're still a prospect because they called me like a few weeks ago, and they'd spoken to me 2 years earlier, right? And I couldn't even remember who they were, right? So they obviously, me, I kind of thought that's dead, but they're still thinking about it, right? That this small company, right? So that kind of stuff happens. Now, this is one of the reasons why I say when I first meet with somebody, I try to give them a ballpark quote, because you need to be able to, they always talk about in business books and stuff, qualifying the lead, right? And it's difficult to do because I don't like to ask people their budgets. I don't ask people their budgets, but what I will do is I'll give a ballpark figure. So, if we, in the first conversation, and this is this is one of the things I couldn't do with a salesperson who doesn't understand the code. This is one of the things that I do myself, and this might be the wrong way to do it, right? But, if I have a conversation with someone and they're explaining their app, and I know how the technology works, I could be, think how many days this would take approximately, because I've gotten so used to doing that, from the years of IT experience, that I can say, okay, based on what you've told me, I think it'll cost whatever, £5,000 or £10,000 or £8,000 or £2,000 or whatever, right? And at that point, then at least they have an idea. And if they want to go forward, then we will go through and do the full quote thing. So we don't waste any time there. It's not their fault. They don't know. See, the thing is, when somebody calls you up for a quote or an estimate, the problem is they don't know how much it's going to cost, and you don't know how much it's going to cost. So you have to get together and think about, how much it's going to cost. And if it's too much for them, you could chase them and say you should take out a loan and make them promises about how much their app will make and all that kind of stuff. But I've never been into that. So, you know, when it comes to giving somebody a quote and they take too long to decide on the deal, that's something I just expect. I think that comes with keeping your pipeline full, right? When it comes to, you know, when I talk to other small companies or people even looking for a job, you say, hey, how are things going? And they say, I'm waiting to hear back from somebody, right? You should never be waiting to hear back from somebody. You should always be finding somebody else, right? My expectation whenever we give a quote is that, you know, they may not come back. You know, that's just, you know, that's just the way it is. You know, and I try not to spend, if you spend like a lot of time into the quote, like in the early days, I would spend like a day on a quote, and that was too much. And now I try to keep it to 1 hour, which is still too much. But, you know, so put together a nice quote, think everything through, and then send that through. But depending on how much time you spent, you should follow up. Like you should, like once every, you know, like a week later, a month later. You shouldn't do it daily, right? It's just, that's desperate, right? And then another good thing to do is put a time limit on the quote. So you say this quote expires in 60 days or 30 days or whatever, because, you know, they may come back to you 2 years later, right? And you don't even charge those rates anymore. Like you figured out that you can't do it, or your developers need raises and all this kind of stuff. Right, so if you have developers, or if you're doing it yourself, you'd think, you know, I don't work for that amount anymore, or whatever, right? So, or technology can change. There's loads of stuff. So it's good to put like a time scale on that. So for me, people taking too long to decide on a deal, I'm not too worried about that, right? But if they come to you and they say, you know, say 3 months later, and they say, I'm ready to get started tomorrow, you have to handle that, because everybody does. Everybody will take too long to decide, and they'll say, can we have it done in the next 3 weeks? You go, well, no, you can't. We have to schedule it in, right? So that's one thing. Now, the other thing, like that you said, was how do you deal with people who take a long time late with payments? That's a bit more serious, because that's something where you've done work and you're not getting paid for it, right? And this is something that I've dealt with a lot. Like in the early days, my first few clients, I was really bad with it. I mean, I'm embarrassed by it. You know, I would give a quote and I would say we would have 25% up front, and then, you know, like our payment structure now is 25% up front, 25% at end of development, and 50% at go live. And at go live, that's where we hand over code or key store files or whatever it is they need to go off on their own. But everybody has different structures. Some people don't give the code. Some people give the code as they go. You know, so there's different ways. But you want to make sure that you have something there as an incentive to make the payment on time, right? So I had a client once that they didn't want to do that structure, right? And they said, can't we just pay at the end? And I thought, it wasn't like an individual, it was like a small company, or it was like a medium-sized company, actually. It was like where I thought, this is perfect client, right? So I thought, okay, yeah, that's fine, right? So we did all the work and everything. They were happy with it, right? So, and then they took, like, I gave them the invoice at the end, and it was like a 30-day period on the invoice. 30 days went, no payment, you know, 60 days went, and I just kept sending polite emails saying, you know, hey, you know, and I would try to find something to point out to them, not just a chase you email, say, hey, your app seems like it's doing well, you know, I noticed you got some bad reviews, you should respond to those or whatever, you know, and then I would say, also, you know, the thing is that, and then they finally did come back and pay. And the most stressful thing about it was I was afraid that they weren't going to pay at all. Like if I knew they would be 3 months late to payment, that wouldn't have bothered me as much as the idea that maybe they might not pay me at all, right? And this is so now I never, like, I won't take on a job unless we have a payment up front, right? They need to have skin in the game, right? You gotta think, if you paid for something, like if you were gonna buy a car and you had to put a down payment on it of like 25%, right? And then you decide you don't want that car, you would think, well, maybe you would want to get that car still anyway, even if it wasn't what you expected it would be, because you've already made that investment, right? So that's something I don't mess with. And also I made sure that time that I didn't, you know, burn any bridges. I know one company where they got really angry with the client, and then they lost all future work. Like this one client I'm talking about, I've done future jobs with them. So I've done, you know, several jobs since then. But I do the right pricing structure. You know, they know that. And the scary thing about, like, and I know one guy, sorry to keep going on about this, I know one guy who was telling me about how he did work for a client and he was doing it by hour. I always do fixed price, right? I always do fixed price because, you know, I just think that's what I would pay, and but then you have to really police the time that goes into it. But then you could give them a full quote, and they know what they're getting into. You don't spring, oh yeah, but you asked for that other thing, and I added another 12 hours or whatever, right? So a friend of mine who did like a bunch of jobs, or he did one job for one client, and that client was really happy with it, going through all this stuff, and the guy was just working full out. And then at the end, when he told him how much it came to, the guy said, "That's ridiculous, I'm not going to pay it." And then nothing happened. It was just like wasted time, right? So I always do fixed price, and I always get a payment up front, and and just because I need them to have skin in the game. If I was going to build a patio, if I was a plumber, if I was a builder, I was going to build a patio in their house, right? I might need to go out and buy materials. So there's an investment that they need, and I might need a payment up front, right? Because it's our time, we don't think that way. So anyway, I know I'm rambling on a little bit about this. We all have these same issues going forward with clients, and we're all learning as we go. And I'm learning all the time too. And we're getting pretty good at it, but not quite. We need to scale up a little bit more. I need that sales team and those account managers and everything. So anyway, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys on Monday.